What is up, guys? Private Eye Russ here. Welcome to another episode of the Private Eye Russ Show. I am your host, owner, operator, full-service private investigation and consulting firm. Criminal defense investigations, litigation support, a lot of corporate theft investigations, premarital background checks. If you want to know what the person has been up to before they got to you, let me know. We can take care of you. Links will be in the description below, website, email address. Join the Discord server. We're going to start a campaign of pushing information out to you guys. It's going to edify and improve your life. All right, so let's go ahead and address something. Well, first and foremost, I do still coach. I had somebody reach out to me. However, the prices have gone up significantly. I tried to keep certain services affordable so more men can take advantage of it and have access to it. However, it's turned out to be more trouble than it is actually worth. And so I wound up, if I charge some guy $500 for a background investigation, that guy's going to be on my phone, emailing, texting constantly. Versus when I do a corporate theft investigation and I send an invoice for $35,000, $40,000, $80,000, they don't blink an eye. Why? Because they know the work I'm doing. And so I think what happens is when people are doing things on a budget, maybe that money is really, really, really significant or really, really important to them, and I get it. However, it's not something that really works in my favor. The coaching has gone up because I've been giving guys some gold, and what I found out was guys were trying to crowdsource some of the coaching. So, they would ask me for coaching, but then they'd have their buddies present questions and just foolishness like that, man. And so, look, I get it. You guys are on a budget. However, that is not my problem. I've tried to help guys out, but small groups of people ruin it for everybody else. So the coaching has gone up. I still have some people that have some inquiries in. Your price will stay the same, but the new people, they've already been informed that these are the prices. This is the pricing structure. That's not what I do generally all the time, so I'm not going to accept that many people for coaching in general. If you do want a one-call consultation, I can help you with that. If you need threat mitigation or strategic planning, that's something I excel at. I'm an incredibly good problem solver. Matter of fact, that's mainly what people call me for if they have a problem, whether it's an attorney or a corporation, we have a problem, or an individual, I have a problem, I need a solution. That's what I do. All right, so this is going to be on a different level. This is not a case file. This is not going to be a reaction video. This is going to be just me talking to you guys, man to man, man to woman, however you identify yourself. We're going to talk about strength versus weakness. Okay, well, weakness in general, weakness in men in general. The strength of men has been failing for quite some time, and I'm going to go over something. So I had a local business owner reach out to me. He wanted a combatives training session. I do offer one-on-one private lessons for combatives training. I don't do group lessons. I don't run a school. The combative systems I teach are incredibly brutal and incredibly damaging. So, do I have a traditional martial arts background? Yes, I do. I've got multiple belts. I've even boxed. I still fence. And so he wanted a bonding class situation for himself and his son. He's got a young son, 15 years old. And so he wanted a father-son combatives coaching session, right? So we set up. Everything was good to go. It was going to be on a Saturday morning at 8 a.m. And so he never showed up. He neither he nor his son never showed up. I reached out to him, sent him a text message, nothing. All right, so I hear from him on Monday, and this is where everything kind of the point I'm getting to. So he reaches out to me. I didn't recognize the phone number. I found out later on it's his office phone number. He didn't want to call me on his regular line. Well, his wife, who I've met, found out that they were going to do a combatives training class, the father and son, and she vetoed it. Her reason for vetoing it, because I did ask him, like, why wouldn't your wife, want? And I actually did, indicate to him or did ask him initially, hey, do you want to include your wife in this? Maybe she wants to be part of this as well too. And he said, no, she wouldn't. Well, she also didn't want them to do it. And so she forbid him and his son from going, so he didn't go. And because he is so afraid of his wife or what she might say or how she might react, he waited until Monday to reach out to me from his office line. Okay, so and that's the story. And so, here's my point, guys. I'm not saying guys should be out there pushing their women around or having them on a leash. But on the flip side, you shouldn't be held on a leash either. You know, what I mean? If you don't have, if getting married or being in a committed relationship means that you no longer have sentience, you no longer have agency, you can't make decisions. And so when him and I were talking on the phone, I just had this strong feeling of disgust. My ex-wife tried the same thing with me, and guess what? My son knows how to fight. And I taught him how to fight from a very early age. I've actually introduced him to some of my combatives coaches, just because you're not always going to give the best instruction to your child. Maybe I was holding back, but he's been well schooled for a very long time. But I didn't capitulate to this. Now, did I say did I go around my house with a club beating her up or anything? No, never. I would never do anything like that, man. I'm not a brute. I'm not a bully. However, I'm not going to be bullied either. And a lot of you guys are out there letting yourselves be bullied by your wives. If you're getting bullied by your wife and you can't make a decision without your wife vetoing it, you're not in a marriage, man. You're not in a marriage. You're a servant. And okay, if that's what you want to do, that's fine. This guy doesn't like his situation, but he feels like he's stuck in it. And so some of the things I said to him were this, and I know some of these words cut very, very deeply, and they were meant to. So as he's explaining his reasoning for not wanting to upset his wife because you don't know how she gets and this and that, look, I've met her, and she's tried to get upset with me, and I shut that down really quickly because I'm not your husband. I'm not the guy who's going to be putting up with that junk. Save that nonsense for somebody else. But I did it in a nice way, in an almost comical way. But yeah, I did have to put her in her place. But here's what I said, man. I said, look, if you're out with your wife one day and somebody tries to mug you or whatever else, or worse, because his wife is a good-looking woman, very smart, very accomplished woman, very well educated. And I said, and you go to defend your wife's honor because you're a husband. You got to be a knight in shining armor, and you get your behind kicked. Is it going to make you feel better about taking that beating because you obeyed your wife's order? You didn't want to learn how to fight. You didn't want your son to learn how to fight and protect yourself because your wife doesn't like it, because she didn't want you guys to learn how to defend yourselves or your family or your home or things like that. Is that really going to make you feel better knowing that, I got my butt kicked, but at least my wife's happy? I said, here's the truth of this situation. I said, number one, your wife doesn't respect you. I said, so stop trying to tap dance for her. She's already being, she disrespects this guy all the time in public, man. And the way he handles it is the exact worst way you should ever handle any sort of disrespect, but especially from your wife. He actually gets very sheepish and defensive. That's not how you should be handling that, guys. All right, so so my whole point with talking to him was like, look, man, if that's your situation, that's your situation. You clearly don't like it. Now you've dug yourself in this hole for so long. How do you get out of this hole? Well, you can't do it all at once. This is something you have to do gradually, and she's going to fight you kicking and screaming. Women never want to give ground. They never want to give up ground if they've taken ground. You know what I mean? I use that kind of war metaphor because there is a war going on or a conflict going on, and there's always going to be a power struggle going on if you are not strong enough to lead your family. Now, what does that mean? Does that mean being strong enough means that you got to be a bully and push your wife or your significant? No. I'm not talking about pushing people around. Verbally. Obviously, you should never use any sort of physical force or coercion. in any relationship. And if you feel like you should, you need to get out of that relationship and you need to do some studying. Anyway, that's just my caveat there, or my little 2 cents there. Take it for what it is, what it's worth. So at the end of the day, man, I was like, man, I see so many contrasts. Now, people will say, well, he's got a successful marriage. Is that really successful? If you can't make a decision, and like we've been out before and in a social events, different social events, and she's just putting this dude down and making him the butt of everybody's joke, to where you can see he's uncomfortable, and people might laugh at first, but even other people around just start getting really uncomfortable. It's like, oh my God, dude, this is brutal. And if you saw this guy, extremely successful guy. Some people might say, he must be just some loser. No, this is an extremely successful guy. And people talk all the physical characteristics as though that's the only thing that counts. Some of you guys kill me with this. Oh, you got to look this way. You got to be this tall, that. Okay, whatever. Tall guys always going to say stuff like that because they think it puts them in some sort of exclusive club. It doesn't. One of the most successful dude with meeting women and spending fun bedroom activity time with them is a 5'7" tall, freckle-faced, red hair, balding, Caucasian dude from the South who is not even particularly nice. He's not smooth at all, but he puts in work with women, period. So, and I'm not saying the whole height and weight and all of this stuff doesn't matter. Yes, it does matter to a certain extent when it comes to preferences, but I'm saying it's not something that can limit you unless you allow it to limit you or your success. Me, I'm 6'1", I weigh about 240, I exercise, I take care of myself. I don't have a problem meeting women at all. But this guy is like 6'5", literally, guy looks like Captain America. Literally looks like Captain America, man. And so an extremely successful dude. I won't go into his industry, but extremely successful dude. And all he wants is for his wife to be happy. And I think that's part of the problem. Don't give up being who you are to make someone else happy. It's not your job. If your woman is miserable, she's going to be miserable no matter what you do. The best thing you can do to enjoy life is just be yourself. Don't give up the things that make you happy. So we talk about successful. I think people look at marriage and they think success means how long you've been married. Well, I know guys that have been married for 20 plus years who are absolutely miserable. Now, their wives might say the marriage is successful because their wife has taken over and she pretty much runs the house and the family. And so I think my marriage was successful. We produced what I consider probably the most, the best young man on the face of the earth. I know it's my son, so I am biased, so I'm going to brag on my son. It doesn't mean that I'm saying that yours are bad or worse or whatever else. I'm just saying that from my perspective, I like to brag about my son because it was not by accident. I raised an exemplary young man. All right. Anyway, let me pat myself on the back. Anyway, so my marriage was successful because I didn't give up who I am throughout the entire time we were married. So some of her things were, I want you to get rid of your guns. No, I'm not doing it. I want you to stop doing combatives and martial arts. No, I'm not doing that either. I want you to stop hanging out with your veteran buddies or your cop pals. Nope, not doing that either. I want you to give up your motorcycle. Nope, not doing that either. I want you to get a regular 9-to-5 job. No, I'm a private investigator. I own a private investigation company. I've actually done very well, and I'm on the verge of doing much, much better. And so, at the end of the day, being successful, for me, my definition of success is maintaining the things that make you who you are. If you have to become someone different, if you have to tiptoe around your spouse, whether you're male or female, whatever it is, however you identify, whoever your significant other is, if you have to tiptoe around them, that's not a successful relationship. That is not a successful relationship. I'm sorry, it is not. So I would challenge you guys to look and examine, what you are and are not willing to put up with. Too many guys don't think about this before they get married. Women consider things. This is why women are winning and men are losing. This is a guy who has every advantage, and he is spiritually and mentally broken and weak because he can't stand up to his own wife. Not, hey, honey, I want to go to the strip club, or hey, honey, I want to go to the local rub and tug, or anything like that. Hey, me and my son are going to take a combatives training class, private lesson with Private Eye Russ. And even with me, like, she doesn't have a problem with me. She just doesn't want him doing anything outside of her authority or decision making process is what I can figure. And so he's got an uphill battle unless he grows a set of nuts and decides when he's had enough. And will that result in divorce? Maybe it will, maybe it won't, man. But at least you maintain your dignity and your self respect. Think of how undignified and undignified something like that has to be. And I've seen other guys where they're going out somewhere, guys that are doing well money wise. Oh, shoot, man, I better ask my wife before I spend $40. What, you gotta check in with your wife? Sorry, man, I wasn't doing the check-in thing. I would call her up, let her know where I was going, what was going on, but I wasn't checking and say, hey, I gotta spend $20. Is it okay if I do that, honey? No, you can't. It just doesn't make a lot of sense to me. On the flip side, this guy's wife can do whatever she wants, and he doesn't have a say in anything. She can tell him what to do, but he can't tell her what to do. And I think there needs to be more equity, or relationships need to be more equitable if they're going to work for both people. They should be working for both people. It doesn't have to be a zero-sum game. And what I mean by that is, for me to win, you have to lose. You can have a win-win in relationships. My ex thought that I was going to be that guy that she could just push around and whatever else. I don't know what made her think that, because that wasn't who I was before we got married. So anyway, it's just me expressing some of my feelings about some of this stuff, man, and my observations, I should say, just because I see more and more grown men who cannot stand up and make a decision on their own. In his office, this guy is the king. Within his own family, he's coming up zero. Anyway, it's your boy Private Eye Russ. Please, while you're here, hit like, subscribe, share, join the Discord server. Check out the links below. Probably going to be adding a couple more links. I've got to do a couple of things to set up. I don't know how I'm going to run the Instagram part of things, just because I just don't see the utility in Instagram. I know everybody's on it, but a lot of the videos I do are long form videos. I don't know that those would do particularly well. I do have a Private Eye Russ, or Private Investigator Russ Instagram page, but we'll see. So anyway, I will talk to you guys in the next one. Thank you for watching. Thank you for everyone who has subscribed, likes, shares, and comments on the video. Please keep commenting on the video. I don't always get to them right away. I've been super, super busy with back-to-back protection details, executive protection. And some on the entertainment side is not really my preference, but some friends of mine reached out to me and they need some help, so I'll help them with that, but mostly executive stuff. And so I've been super busy. And so, which is not a bad thing. That's actually a good thing. It just pushed back some of the things I wanted. It pushed back the release of the book. My first book is going to be released, hopefully within the next month. If I'm not, literally, I've been driving home at the tail end of a protection detail, and I'll get a phone call from an associate saying, hey, can you help me out? Can you help out with this one tomorrow morning? And obviously, these are guys that need help. These are people that need my protection, and these are people I've known for. Some of these guys I've trained with executive protection theory and technique and procedures, and so they reach out to me. I'm going to answer the call. That's just what I do. So again, there is an ebook that's going to be coming out. The ebook will not be for free. I know I've had people reach out and say, "Oh, you're gonna make that for free?" No, I'm going to make it for free, man. This is something that's adding value. And if you guys think you shouldn't pay for it, then okay, that's fine. But things are going to be monetized. That's the only way it makes sense. The time and effort I'm putting into some of these things, and some of the stuff I put out, I'm going to be putting out as absolute gold. It will help you guys going forward in life, whether it's down to detecting someone who may be deceiving you, a loved one, corporate theft things. I'm going to be telling a decent story about a corporate theft case I worked a long time ago. It might be more than one case if I'm going to flesh out the detail. And let me know what you guys want to talk about or want me to cover. This is not a current events channel. However, I can cover some current things as long as it's something that I think I can provide a different perspective on. So anyway, I will talk to you guys again, and hopefully you've liked and subscribed and shared and get in the comment section. Talk to you guys later. It's your boy Private Eye Russ. I'm out.